The butterfly effect of time travel. Note: this story contains mature themes and violence. Listener's discretion is advised. Detective Rachel Johnson rubbed her tired eyes, staring at the whiteboard filled with notes and leads on the murder case she'd been working on for weeks. The victim, a young woman named Lily Evans, had been found strangled in her apartment with no apparent motive or suspects. Rachel had interviewed everyone from Lily's friends and family to her ex-boyfriend and co-workers, but no one had any information that could lead to a break in the case. She sighed, feeling a sense of defeat wash over her. She knew the chances of solving this case were slim, and she couldn't shake the feeling that there was something she was missing. Just then, she received a call from an unknown number. "Detective Johnson speaking," she answered. "Detective Johnson, my name is Dr. Richard Kim. I believe I have some information that may be of interest to you regarding the Lily Evans case," the voice on the other end said. Rachel's heart raced with excitement. "What kind of information?" she asked. "I believe I have a way to travel back in time and witness the murder as it happened," Dr. Kim said. Rachel raised an eyebrow, skeptical. "Time travel? That's not possible," she said. "I assure you, it is," Dr. Kim said. "I've spent years developing a machine that can transport a person back in time. And I believe that by doing so, we can solve this case." Rachel was hesitant, but her curiosity got the best of her. She agreed to meet with Dr. Kim to learn more about his invention and how it could help solve the case. The next day, Rachel arrived at Dr. Kim's lab, a nondescript building in the middle of nowhere. She was greeted by the scientist himself, a wiry man with glasses and a nervous energy about him. He led her to a room filled with machinery and equipment, explaining how his time machine worked. Rachel listened intently, still unsure if she believed any of it. But Dr. Kim seemed confident, and Rachel couldn't deny that she was intrigued by the idea of traveling back in time to solve a murder case. After going through the necessary preparations, Rachel climbed into the time machine and closed her eyes, trying to ignore the feeling of nausea as the machine whirred to life. When she opened her eyes, she found herself standing in the middle of Lily Evans' apartment, the day of the murder. She watched as the events unfolded before her eyes, feeling a sense of helplessness as she watched Lily's killer strangle her. Rachel knew that she couldn't interfere with the past, but it was a difficult task to just stand and watch the tragic event occur. As the killer left the apartment, Rachel quickly noted every detail she could about his appearance and behavior. When the machine transported her back to the present, she met with Dr. Kim to share her findings. Together, they used the information to track down the killer, a man named James Sanders, who had no apparent motive for killing Lily other than the satisfaction he felt from taking a life. But the butterfly effect was at play. Rachel couldn't help but wonder if traveling back in time to solve this case had caused some unforeseen consequences. Several weeks after the arrest of Sanders, Rachel noticed strange things happening around her. She would see Lily's face in her mind every time she closed her eyes. She would hear strange noises in the night, and she felt like she was being watched all the time. Her colleagues noticed a change in her behavior and thought that she was just stressed out from the case. But Rachel knew something was off. Rachel received a call from the station that they had received a report of a murder that had taken place in the same apartment complex where Lily Evans had lived. Rachel's heart sank as she realized the possible implications of this development. She rushed to the scene and found the body of a young woman, brutally murdered in the same manner as Lily Evans. As Rachel surveyed the scene, she felt a sense of déjà vu. Everything looked so familiar, as if she had been there before. Then, she saw a picture of the victim and gasped. It was Lily Evans, the same woman she had traveled back in time to witness the murder of. Rachel was confused and frightened, wondering how this was possible. She went back to Dr. Kim's lab and demanded answers. The scientist looked pale and agitated as he explained that their actions in the past had caused a ripple effect in the timeline, leading to a chain of events that resulted in Lily's murder happening again, this time with Rachel as the detective on the case. Rachel was devastated. She couldn't bear the thought of reliving the same tragedy again, but she knew that she had to solve this case and prevent the same fate from befalling Lily once again. Rachel dove into the investigation with a newfound determination, using all the knowledge and skills she had gained from her previous experience. As she dug deeper into the case, she uncovered a startling revelation. James Sanders, the man who had killed Lily in the past, was still alive and had been released from prison just months before the murder had taken place again. Rachel realized that the butterfly effect had caused a domino effect that resulted in James Sanders being released early from prison, leading to him killing Lily once again. With this new information, Rachel was able to apprehend Sanders once again. However, this time, she made sure that he was locked away for good. She knew that she had prevented the same tragedy from occurring again, but she couldn't shake the feeling of unease that came with the realization of the consequences of their time travel. As Rachel sat in her office, reflecting on the events that had unfolded, she heard a knock on the door. It was Dr. Kim, looking more nervous than ever. "I have something to show you," he said, pulling out a small device from his pocket. "I've been working on a way to undo the butterfly effect and restore the timeline to its original state." Rachel was skeptical, but Dr. Kim explained that by using the device to travel back in time and undo their actions, they could prevent the ripple effect from ever happening. Rachel hesitated, but ultimately agreed to use the device. As she traveled back in time, she felt a sense of relief and dread wash over her. When she arrived back in the present, everything was as it should be. The murder of Lily Evans had never happened, and the chain of events that had led to her death had been undone. However, as Rachel walked out of Dr. Kim's lab, she noticed a strange feeling of emptiness. She realized that the experience had changed her, and that she would never be the same again. She wondered if traveling back in time had been worth it, knowing the potential consequences of their actions. As Rachel drove home, she couldn't shake the feeling that something was still off. It wasn't until she arrived home that she realized what it was. She saw a woman standing outside her apartment, who looked exactly like her. Rachel froze, wondering if this was the doppelganger effect of the butterfly effect. The woman looked at her, smiled, and then vanished. Rachel was left standing there, wondering what other consequences their time travel had caused, and if there was any way to truly undo the damage that they had done. The ending of this left Rachel with a sense of unease and uncertainty, as she realized that the consequences of time travel were far greater than she had ever imagined.